Treat it like it's the New York Times, because that's exactly how this is.
Oh, yeah, this is much bigger. What are you kidding me? Listen. You do this every night. This is new for me, man. I'm kind of starstruck. Like I watch you every day. Like, this is like a celebrity sighting for me.
You've watched me get enchiladas on my shirt. I think we're closer than that.
That's a fair point. Fair point.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to the Disconnected. I am here with what I would say pretty much a close friend of mine, as close as you can be virtually. I always second guess myself. It's John DeMarsico, right? I'm saying it right every time?
Nailed it, man. I grew up in North Carolina with a 4-syllable last name. That is money.
I do my best. I work in immigration, so a last name like that is pretty much like elementary level.
Yeah, my family immigrated here like 122 years ago, so we should be good.
Good. Yeah, by then you've probably lost at least 3 of the surnames and a lot of the traditions.
Totally, you get it, man.
So John is here primarily because he's a friend of mine, but on top of that, he's kind of a big deal in the sports world, especially this last year. No, stop. You have literal Emmys over your shoulder. Come on.
Listen. I framed it just right. Hold on. Let me get the 4th one in. There we go. Perfect.
So I don't even know the title offhand. Is it broadcast director?
Literally, my title is director. I'm the game director for the New York Mets. Yeah. It's there's a lot of very fancy names these days, and most of the names at our network have the word content in it, like senior content producer, manager, and it's like, I'm very happy with just being called the director, which makes me very happy.
The word content reduces it so much into something that it's not a token to pass along.
I hate it so much. It cheapens everything that we do these days. It really does.
Anyways, you ready to make some content? No, I'm just kidding.
On that note, here comes content.
In all reality, I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but you've had a really busy year, and probably the busiest you've had doing this yet, right?
Totally. This has been for a lot of reasons. This is my 3rd year as the game director for the Mets, but really the first real season, because 2020 was a COVID shortened baseball season. In 2021, we still weren't traveling with the team, and there was a ton of restrictions and no fans in the ballpark. So it really felt like 2022 was my first season as the Mets broadcast director, and it man, oh man, the Mets obviously had a great year. They won 101 games in the regular season, so all eyes were on us every single night, and it was things really took off in August. We had one viral clip, and then another viral clip, and then things sort of just snowballed, and all of a sudden the New York Times called, and the Washington Post, and I'm doing podcasts and interviews and things that I'm uncomfortable with, and now I'm on with you, the biggest show there is. This is it, man.
I feel I feel so fortunate that New York Times led to me, essentially. I'm going to put that in my byline now.
Totally.
This year has been special for you and for the Mets. Nothing to take away from them. For everybody watching, there is going to be a lot of playful ribbing tonight because the Mets are trash and always have been. First of all, you've been with the Mets specifically for how long? Because it's been more than the last 3 years.
Oh yeah. So I've been at SNY, which is the network that broadcasts the Mets, since my internship in college, the summer of 2009.
Wow.
So I interned in the summer of 2009 and was invited down to spring training in 2010 and hired out of spring training, and I haven't left. And literally the only job I've ever had. So here we are.
Must be nice. Another thing that must be nice, I bet you got a lot of rest after the 2015 season when you guys lost the World Series to the Royals. How was that?
It's funny. With my job, it's interesting. So I work for the regional sports network that covers the Mets. So I do 162 games in the regular season in spring training. Once the postseason starts, I am like a civilian again. I become a fan, and I don't have to work. And so 2015 hurt a lot because I was a fan again. When I'm working, I can't really be a fan. I got a job to do. So the postseason, I kind of, flip the cap and become the fan again. And so 2015 was a fun run, but I gotta say the Royals were the better team, and they deserved it that year.
I'm just glad the Mets allowed them to win on the road.
Yeah, they loved it at Citi Field. They hung banners, they commemorated it. They love it. Yeah.
I bet all those had a beautiful, flowery, childlike language written on them as well.
Oh, totally. By the way, they released next year's schedule. We are going to be in Kansas City, I believe, in August. I have to double check that, but we have a series in Kansas City next year. So here we go.
You realize we're spending some time together.
100%. You got tickets for the whole family. We'll do the whole deal.
And you got a place to stay, free meals. I'll buy you food. I'll make you food. We'll watch some movies.
Hey, man, I got the expense account, man. Dinner's on me.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Beyond that, 2015 was great, and I'm gonna rub that in like 6 more times tonight.
That's
but
fine. You go for it, man. You earned it.
In all reality, I did want to talk about the playoffs, because how shitty does it feel that they give it to these national broadcasters when in all reality you could be pouring the love into the World Series?
I
mean, if the Mets were able to make it,
which is they're few and far between, man. It's just kind of the way it's always been. It's the oddest thing when the Mets have a good season, which are also few and far between these days. And then the last game happens, and we're like, okay, good luck, and we all go our separate ways, and we hand it off to the Foxes and the TBSs and ESPNs of the world, and that's it. Part of me is heartbroken and jealous of the networks, but there's another part of me that's like, I just did an 162 game grind. I need to get some rest. I need to be done with baseball for a minute. And it's nice to kind of come home and be a fan again, because like I said, it's been such a big part of my life, my Met fandom, my love of baseball in general, that, having it become a job is sort of has its ups and downs. So you're doing the thing that you love, but the thing that you love has become a job. Right. So you have to kind of find a balance. So it's nice for me when the season ends and I get to watch the Mets, lose a 3-game series and their season be over,
And you get to join in chants of "fuck Joe Buck" with the rest of the country. So.
Oh man. I won't say that. Joe Buck he's gotten a lot of disrespect. He's an excellent announcer.
I have to be honest, he has always been decent for baseball. Yeah. It's when he pretends for other sports that I really start to lose respect for him.
Which is interesting because he's done doing baseball now. He's doing football full time now. I'm sorry, he's done doing baseball, doing football full time for ESPN, not Fox.
Right.
So he lost the World Series, he lost the postseason, and he's okay with that, I guess. He put in his 20 plus years of doing the World Series, and actually, SNY's former, because the Super Bowl's on Fox this year, SNY's former sideline reporter Kevin Burkhardt, who's a good friend of mine, will be doing play-by-play for the Super Bowl this year.
Wow,
first
very
year.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. He totally deserves it, and it's another SNY success story, much bigger than mine. My God.
I mean, we're gonna get deep into yours tonight, and for a lot of people that obviously most people probably have not watched a lot of the Mets broadcasts because first off, the way the MLB rules around broadcasting stuff is not great. It sounds like they might be into changing that soon. Have you heard any rumblings?
It's one of the top talking points around baseball is the blackout rules and the accessibility and what they call home regions, and it's a mess. I mean, it's one of the many messes going on in baseball. But yes, that's one of the things that hopefully they can get fixed. But it's also social media is great because SNY's Twitter account can post a video that ends up getting 10.5 million views, and we don't have that kind of reach as a regional sports network. So it's, of course, you kind of you're kind of grateful for social media for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the blackout rules are so asinine for so many different things because it doesn't work well for New York for multiple reasons. But then you get into, I hate to say it because I live here, but flyover country. Yeah. And in some places it's worse. I mean, there are places in Iowa where the Twins are blacked out and the Royals are blacked out. And there's no team in Iowa. What are we doing?
Make no sense. And my dad has the DirecTV package. And when the Mets play the Nationals, for some reason, that is considered his home region. He lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. So
All right.
so he can't watch he can't watch SNY because he has to watch the national broadcast because that's his home region for some reason. It's just silly, the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Obviously, when a lot of people watch this, they will probably not know offhand what a director for a broadcast company like this does.
Sure.
I'm going to show a real quick clip, and then we're going to talk about what you do in here because this is something I got to witness this year, and I just marveled at the entire process. So we're going to listen to this for about 45 seconds.
3-2. And a watch to
2. 14. Take 14. 28. Take 8. 10. Take 10. 29. Take 9. Break 2. Take 2. Viking to 3. Viking to 3. Don't do it. Ready 5. Take 5. Yeah, right there. 14. Take 14. Break 2.
I love at the end of that, you slink back and you're just like, it went well.
That is totally involuntary. I hate watching myself do that. I didn't even realize that I made all the hand gestures. I'm Italian, so I guess it comes natural. But it's it's actually a good little snapshot for kind of what goes on in the heat of the moment. You know, baseball's a sport that has a lot of downtime, so there's a lot of quietness and people stepping out of the box, people rubbing their bat and fixing their batting gloves, hitting their bat against their cleats, and it's a lot of silence until there's not. And so when a moment like that happens, it springs sort of everybody out of their seat. And if it springs me out of my seat, hopefully it springs the people at home out of their seats too.
Exactly.
So that's sort of the goal, you know?
I loved watching that live in person. And for those that don't know what I'm alluding to, it was early June. I was in LA for Monsterpalooza, and John happened to be directing a game at Dodger Stadium. I got to go and witness this firsthand, and it was incredible to see. And this is going to sound like a play on a word or something, but it's not, I promise. But you're literally like a master delegator in the moment. You were telling everybody when to work at just the precise moment to make it beautiful, and it genuinely is an art form. It's so hard to oversell what you're doing because it's so hard with all those screens to keep your mind afloat properly.
Yeah. So, as you know, I studied film in college, and I really thought I was going to be a film editor. And so what I ironically do now is basically live editing. You know, I have all the clips in front of me, all the shots in front of me, and laid out right in front of me. I have cameras at home. I have cameras 1 through 21. I have them all there, and I'm live editing. You know, and based on the situations, you know, going on in the game, each camera has a certain assignment in certain, you know, situations. And if they're doing their jobs right, it makes my job a lot easier because I just know where things are going to be, and I know where to kind of time things. The clip that you saw actually was a home run, and a home run's actually one of the easier things to direct because, you know, the ball leaves the park, and after that, it's all color. You know, it's all jazz. People showing signs, fans reacting. You know, shots of the dugout. The harder plays to direct are the ones when there's multiple runners on base and a ball is hit down the line, and you have to somehow show all the runners scoring and follow the ball. Baseball's a unique sport because it's the only sport that doesn't go left to right on your TVs.
Yep.
So you really have you have to cut around a lot when they're over the action rather than stay on one camera to kind of show what's going on. You know, it's one of the only sports where, you know, points are scored away from the ball. So it makes it a little more difficult to direct. It's by far, I mean, I haven't done all the sports, but I would say that baseball is one of the harder sports to produce for a broadcast.
Yeah. I mean, that seems rather, when you think about it, rather intuitive that it would be that way. Other than something like bowling, I'm sure that's really difficult.
You know what? I'd love to do bowling. I kick my feet up and relax, have myself have a drink, maybe a bag of chips. You know, you just hang on one camera. I make fun of my one of the guys I work with. He does, you know, he's a big soccer fan. I go, man, this would be the gig to direct this, man. Just stay on one big wide shot of the field and nobody scores. So it's great.
One thing I really wanted to hit on is I have appreciated watching you grow primarily because you have brought something back to baseball that has been gone for pretty much every other broadcasting team, and that is this sense of drama. we have, obviously, there are teams that have rivalries. They don't really get played up other than like, ooh, the Braves are here. Anyway, so back to tonight or something like that.
Yeah.
What I wanted to hit on, this one thing that you sent over in this little sizzle reel, this is such a compelling way to see the different levels of drama in the game. And now, not going to play any sound. We are free to speak over it. Let me get rid of that mute sign. The way that you are blending all these in, it brings something so compelling for the viewer at home that we don't get from any other broadcast team. Why is it so special for SNY?
Baseball by design, to me, has always been a very cinematic sport. It's a sport that lends itself to quote unquote cinematic elements. And I say that because in football, the guys are all wearing helmets. You can't see any face. It's hard to show emotion. In basketball, things are moving so quickly and they're racing a clock. In baseball, you have between 15 to 20 seconds between every single pitch to set things up, to establish a conflict like you're seeing on the screen right now. You know, it's the pitcher versus the batter. It's the best conflict in sports. And it's so it's right out of a Western. It's the old gunslinger coming in from the bullpen like this and facing the, you know, it's the showdown at the OK Corral. It made sense to me, and it always has been like something I've wanted to establish. And you do one thing and people like it, and then you start, you know, spinning the wheels a little bit. How can I make this a little more dramatic? And how can I pick my spots with these big moments? And listen, there's not a lot of big spots in a game. There's a lot of downtime, like I said, and we have some laughs, and the game is obviously king. You don't want to miss anything, but what you do in those 15 to 20 seconds between pitches is up to the director, you know, and I just choose to kind of jar the viewer once in a while because, you know, it lets them know that this is an important thing going on. This is a moment. This is one of the moments of the game. I don't do those things, you know, in a blowout when the game is meaningless.
We're in the second inning.
I really have to show some restraint. You know, like I want to do it. I want to be Brian De Palma during every pitch, but I can't. You know, I have to actually show the game. I you know, I'm just so glad that people seem to like the things that we tried this year. And I'm so excited to keep experimenting and see what's next.
So that's a good question. You've got other tricks up your sleeve, I'm assuming.
I just keep watching movies, and and if I see something that's really cool, I'll write it down. And I have a whole notepad in my phone of things that I want to try, things I want to do, screenshots from films. I've literally been on a plane before watching something on my iPad, and because I travel so much, and I see a really cool dissolve or a really cool transition or a split screen, and I go, okay, I gotta pause to get my phone. And I literally take a picture of my screen and mark the time code, and like, okay, I'm gonna go back and watch that and see how I can introduce that somehow. I honestly don't watch a lot of baseball in my free time. In my free time, I'm watching movies. This is my love, and this is what inspires me. I just, kind of have tried to inject a little bit of that into the game broadcast because it's who I am. So
you had a few that were really recognizable that kind of blew up virally this year, and one of them primarily had to do with sound and a really great image. So I'm going to watch this one with everybody real quick, and then just want to hear what you tell everybody where this came from, because this is just art, man. I will just say it as clear as that.
As McNeil becomes the third Met to be hit, and that is an even 100 Mets who have been hit by pitches this season. Now just 5 shy of the Major League record. You're asking, guys.
It's so perfect.
There you go. Shocker, I know. Real tough one. The Mets had a Major League record this season for hit by pitches. So it became sort of an inside joke with me and a few other guys on Twitter that after every hit by pitch, I show the Mets manager, Buck Showalter. And he's always got this scowl on his face and like, oh, I can't wait to
Cussing under his
get
breath.
back at you. I'm so angry. I'm so stern, and I'm going to give you my glare. And it sort of got to the point where, how the hell do I enhance this? And I was like, all right, I got the wheels turning a little bit, and I got the idea. I knew I couldn't use the exact music, the Ironside music, because that's like, it's copyrighted and
Everywhere, yeah.
So I literally took like 7 audio elements off our NBC Universal, library of music, and edited them together to as close to the Ironside theme as possible. Gave that to our technical director, who's the guy that sits next to me and presses all the buttons. I do all the talking. The guy next to me actually presses the buttons. I gave that to him, and I showed him the clip from Kill Bill. I said, okay, make oh, that's too red. That's too red. Make it a little less a little more transparent, a little more orange actually there. Okay, now we have to get a montage. So I went to our associate director, Eddie Warman. I was like, I need a montage of the Mets being hit by pitch so that I can overlay over Buck. And it was a big team effort, but it's one of those things that not everybody got the joke. Not everyone got that it was like a Kill Bill reference and knew the Ironside theme, but they started calling it like the Buck Showalter red face filter, like this is like an Instagram filter, and like waiting for steam to pop out of his ears or something. But people loved it regardless. I mean, there was a couple people that didn't love it, but you can't please everybody. If we pleased everybody, that we wouldn't be doing our jobs.
Well, it pleased a lot of movie fans, and it went viral pretty much everywhere. I mean, your clips at least were front page on Reddit like 3 or 4 times this year, right?
People have told me that. I am so unfamiliar with Reddit. I went down a Reddit alleyway one time and just like to see what was going on, put my name in, and I was like, whoa, that's a lot of people talking about me. It was a little overwhelming because I saw it like a month after the fact. I was like, it's so over my head. My wife was like, you need to get on Reddit. I was like, okay, fine.
But that wasn't even all. You seem to go everywhere. You were on New York Times, Washington Post. You had a couple others seek you out.
Yeah,
this year, right?
New York magazine. I think the Sports Business Journal. There was a couple podcasts, a couple things. Listen, it's far too much to talk about. It's too much.
That was the Wizard of Oz transition that we just saw, and it's
going from black and white to color. Very simple but effective.
Very effective.
And this guy Edwin Diaz. Those of you that don't know, if you know nothing about baseball, you've probably seen the clip everywhere of him coming into his theme song by it's called Narco by Timmy Trumpet and Blaster Jacks. See, I know that now. Yeah, he has been a gold mine for me because I'd heard the song that he comes into. Google it. You guys, everybody at home, Google this song. I'm sure you've heard it before. It's played at every sporting event now.
Yep.
Initially, I was like, oh, those are spaghetti Western horns. This is gonna, if we ever get a moment where this guy's good, like, and the team's good, we are going to dress this up and it's gonna be sick. Unfortunately, when the Mets acquired him, he stunk. He was so bad, the guy. And he's really turned it around this year. He had an historic season. And the song that he enters the bullpen from, I mean, it totally blew up. It blew up so much that the artist Timmy Trumpet came to Citi Field and played the trumpet live as he was coming in from the bullpen. I mean, this was all like, this is high cinema. This is just too much.
I was watching the clips that you sent me in bed the other night, and my wife was sitting there, and she said, "Who's that?" And I went, "That's Timmy Trumpets." And she goes, "Wait. His name is Timmy Trumpets." And I had to explain, yes, that is a real artist name. He is not doing this for laughs. It was a fun conversation.
Yeah, he was this little Australian DJ that plays a trumpet that never seen a baseball game in his entire life, and he came to Citi Field he came to Citi Field the first night for a Met game, and the Mets did not win, and Edwin Diaz didn't come in, so everyone was like, "Oh no, Timmy Trumpet's not gonna play." he came back for night 2, and it was one of the Mets' biggest wins of the year. And the place was rocking. And I sort of had a plan in place. I didn't want to dress it up too much with too many bells and whistles, because you really want to capture the moment. And it was just really cool. And I think that video on Twitter got 10.5 million views. So it really was something.
Yeah. And this is the clip of him playing live.
On this one.
And that's the other thing. This was playing, and I had to show it to my wife. I went, "Oh, did you see that?" She went, "What?" I was like, "No, the aspect ratio changed live. Come on." Yeah, it was this big thing. I had to like geek out over it and explain why it was so important. But this is exactly the reason why it's so cool for fans to grab onto something like this, because it makes the moment not only like fun is the simplest way to say it, but it makes it tense. It makes it important. It makes that player more important to the city. It makes this artist more important to the city. It brings this community that not many teams are really able to savor moments like this at the moment.
Absolutely. And, it's sort of a perfect storm. This guy, Edwin Diaz, had this amazing season, and he just so happens to have this incredible walkout song that people love. And it just so happened that, on a random August, we showed this walk-in and tracked the PA, and people heard it for the first time in their lives, and it was everywhere. And everyone wanted to talk to me. It's like, I didn't play the song. I'm not pitching. I'm just putting it on TV.
Right.
But at the same time, it's exciting to be a part of something like that, because it's I don't know if it's going to have much longevity. I mean, he's actually a free agent this year, so who knows if he's even going to come back. But for those couple months, it was pretty special. There was Sports Illustrated came out and said it was the most exciting thing going on in sports. And that's a pretty cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah, especially when you're the director. I mean, this is mostly on your brain to come up with a lot of this stuff.
I got way too much on my brain. Baseball, movies, Black Friday sales, watching Disconnected. It consumes me.
Well, the other one that got me, I'm going to show one more clip to everybody. This is one that was, I believe, Baz Luhrmann inspired, right?
Yes, that's actually breaking news. I've never come out and told anybody what the Octobox, the inspiration for this was. So this is a funny story. So I literally watched Elvis one night in my room before a game, and I go, "Oh, Edwin Diaz is Elvis. He's the star." And Baz Luhrmann, he does this 8-box in the first 10 minutes of the movie, as Elvis is taking the stage for the first time, and he puts him center frame, and you have the fans in the crowd watching him. You've got other close-ups. He actually cut around in those 8 boxes, and then the screen opens up and reveals, and I was like, "Whoa, that is sick." And I'm a very visual person. Like I am much more style over substance when it comes to a lot of things, movies, whatever, baseball. And so I love Baz. Baz is unbelievable. And Elvis got a lot of hate. I thought Elvis was phenomenal. I loved Elvis. In that 8-box, I literally took a screenshot. I went back and labeled, like, I want camera 2 to be here. I want camera 14 to be here. I want camera 6 to be here. Camera 3 to be here. I texted it to my technical director, the guy that presses the buttons beside me. And I was like, tomorrow, I don't care what we do, but we need to work on this for the next time he comes in. And it took a couple of days. We were fortunate that the timing worked out, and we got the entrance. And I was like, all right, here it comes. Here we go. I was like, trigger the 8-box. Why I didn't? And it's basically, there's no cutting around at that point. I am committed to those 8 cameras being on the screen, so I just get to sit back and watch at that point. But it
worked out perfectly.
Yeah,
I mean, the fans that were doing it shows the different moods. It shows the
Yeah.
excitement level, and then not to mention now, I mean, look at how beautifully you just sold it. It opens and then it opened right. I mean, that's an art form.
I mean, it's one of my favorite things that we did this year. And I know my buddy Seth Zwiebel, our technical director, the guy that actually built the actual 8 boxes. he's pretty proud of it too. He had every technical director in the country texted him, "Dude, 8-box, how'd you do that? I thought it was just a normal 8-box, but then you made it go off the screen. I was unbelievable." So he got a lot of the credit goes to him, but it's I love that stuff. I love seeing something, being inspired, and being able to execute it. And I'm fortunate enough to work for a network that doesn't really rein me in much. Even when I may need some reining in, I like to color outside the lines. And my bosses, they understand me. And sometimes they know that I'm not going to do anything that's going to hurt the network, but I'm going to take some chances. And you know what? I work with a group of guys that allow me to do that. I have our announcers, Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, and Ron Darling. They've been together since the network started in 2006, and Keith and Ron have been teammates in the 80s and have been together for over 40 years at this point. So, right. And Gary's been with the Mets for over 30 years. Our producer Greg Picker has been there since the network started. I've been there since 2009. So there's a trust factor, and a trust that whatever we do, our announcers can handle, our producer can handle, and we kind of all play off each other. It really is like sort of a freeform jazz, like we kind of all play off each other every night.
That's beautiful. That's the exact kind of relationship that these places need. I mean, the attention you've gotten, I imagine after this year, they're not only going to be okay with it, they're probably going to encourage a lot of this experimentation.
I hope so. I think a lot of people had some reservations at first because it was different.
Right.
But different can be good. And I think that the response was positive enough that I will have that, free reign to kind of, keep experimenting and keep playing around. I never want to stop, trying new things and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. Like I said before, if everything works every single time, I'm not doing my job right. I never want to be like that. So. Well,
time for hard-hitting questions. What has failed then? What is an experiment that you feel like, let's not do that one again?
There've been a couple. I've talked about a lot in all the pieces and interviews that Brian De Palma has been a big inspiration for a lot of the split screens because he is such a split screen heavy director.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's a physical black line split screen or a split diopter shot. So I have probably a dozen different variations. I think 3 or 4 of them work really well. Some of them are a bit of a stretch. And it's a lot. It's covering. It's not pre-produced, so it's all live. And so if I got 3 things in a split screen and there's movement, sometimes it loses its effectiveness, and sometimes it doesn't quite work the right way. Or one of my dissolves that I actually what did I see that I saw it in the movie Valhalla Rising. You know that one?
I've seen it, yeah.
In that one, there is an amazing dissolve, a right to left on the screen dissolve that goes from the ocean to who's the protagonist? What's the actor?
Oh gosh, it's been ages since I've seen it.
What's his name? He was Another Round. He's
it's a very plain white guy.
Yes. Hannibal. Who's Hannibal?
Oh yeah. Mads Mikkelsen.
Yes.
Yes.
He's in Valhalla Rising. And so it's a slow dissolve from the ocean to his face, and it's actually the dissolve that I used during the Timmy Trumpet intro when it went from him running in to the trumpet guy clapping his hands. It's a super, like a 9-second dissolve, which is ridiculous. I tried that and almost missed the pitch a couple times, and I go, maybe not the right spot for that. So it's stuff like that. It's more like timing wise and stuff that would be great if it was a pre-produced piece, but covering live action, sometimes it's a little muddy.
Right.
You just got to be careful and pick your spots.
It seems like most of the pitching duel dissolves that weren't not even full-on dissolves, but just the tension shots, it seems like those worked very well almost every single time.
Yeah, there's some cool. There's we had some really good results, and that actually evolved from trying to have a faux split diopter, a la Brian De Palma for those shots, because he has something in the foreground in frame and something in the background in frame, and there's a nice little sliver of a blur in between.
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of copy that. So that was my faux split diopter. but yeah, some things work, some things don't. By the time you see it, I may have already lined up that shot for 3 pitches. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so like I'm watching it, like while I'm cutting the game live, I'm watching in preview while the technical director has the transition up. I'll be okay, and I actually call the transition De Palma 1 through whatever. Like, so try De Palma 2 on that. It doesn't work. Try De Palma 4. You know, so I'm sort of in anticipation of the moment. If I get the 2 strikes here, if the crowd gets up, this is going to be the moment we use this. You have to kind of be prepared. 9 times out of 10, the moment doesn't come, you know, but when it does, at least I'm prepared.
Let's get very style focused for a moment, because you and I are some of the only people I know that recognizes this and gets excited about it. You brought up split diopter like 3 times already. Is it just me, or is it seemingly making a comeback in recent years? It seems to be a lot more like the Jordan Peele movie Us is the first time I noticed and went, this is a damn good split diopter shot.
I think he'd be the perfect guy for it, because he has such a strong cinematic language. You know, De Palma was a guy that wasn't necessarily the best storyteller and didn't always, you know, he didn't write his scripts, and he didn't,
right,
but he spoke cinema as good as anybody who has ever lived. The things that he was able to do with in-camera effects, whether it's a split diopter or just a simple split screen and cutting left to right, the scene that comes to mind is Carrie, and he actually didn't think that scene worked. I thought it was brilliant. Yeah, I would love to see it come back, because it's such a it makes you pay attention, and it's a way for a filmmaker to adjust focus to the things that you're supposed to be looking at. You know, honestly, it's a much more interesting shot. That's the problem I have with a lot of things that you get put out there today. It's like, great movie, great script, beautifully shot, but at the same time, it's boring to look at. You know, it's like, give me some Dario Argento, like throw a neon on that, something. Give me something here. Give me some shot. Give me some lighting. You know,
yeah. I'm going to sound like I'm worshiping SNY, but apply that to baseball. I mean, look, this is exactly how I feel. You guys are making it interesting, and the other teams are not. Give me something. This is the perfect way to stare at that, because when there's style for one team and every other team out there is floundering, I mean, it's a big difference.
Baseball is a very dusty sport. It really is. It's a quote unquote boring sport to watch on TV, and it shouldn't be. I mean, listen, the games are long. Not everybody has 3.5 hours every single night, but some people do. There's a lot of people watching every single night, and if I can jar them out of their seat 2 or 3 times a game, wake them up, I'm going to do that, you know, whether they like it or not.
For everybody that's not used to baseball talk on here, I'll go one more question. What are the shiny trophies for?
Those are Emmys. Those are New York Emmys that I've accumulated over the last few years. I got one more on the way. It just got announced a few days ago that we won for our 2021 baseball coverage. So we got a 5th one on the way. I've got 4 up there. Yeah.
Not many in our Discord need to buy new shelves for Emmys, so congratulations.
Oh my God, we're in the middle of transitioning my what started off as my wife's office, which has evolved into my movie room. We're transitioning that to what is now my daughter's room, and she's going to take over the office/movie room because it's a bigger room. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to have to learn some carpentry and build some shelves on my own, because I'm telling you, I'm going to need the floor to ceiling, because this is what I have is just not going to work. I mean, I already have a closet. I know you do too. A closet that just stacks that I'm not shelved, and that every time I look in there, I cringe because I just want order. So
maybe if I'm feeling brave, I'll take a picture of my shame closet after that and pitch it in right here.
You totally should. Totally should.
It is really, really bad. It's embarrassing, frankly. So let's get into physical media. You've got half of your screen taken up by movies. Sure. Obviously, you love movies. How did we get to physical media?
I've always been a movie collector ever since I was a kid. Literally, my Christmas lists for Santa Claus were VHS movies, and then eventually DVDs. And I was very particular. Like I would like go online as, a 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old and get the artwork that I wanted and print it for my parents and make sure that I got that version of the DVD. I wanted the Criterion. Like, get me the Man Who Fell to Earth Criterion, nothing else. Like, that's what I want.
I am laughing so hard because I think you are the only person I've ever heard that did it like me.
Yeah.
But I did picture of that and the UPC so they could compare.
Yeah, you're good.
And,
I didn't go that
say,
far.
This one, I want the widescreen for sure. So make sure it's this specific UPC.
Don't get me started. Listen, it happened. I can't remember exactly what the movie was, but I got a full screen DVD and I had already opened it and I was just devastated, just heartbroken because I've been rallying against full screen since literally I was 10 years old.
Amazing.
But no, I've been a movie lover since I was, basically out of the womb, and I've loved horror movies and since I was a kid. I remember one of the first movies I ever went to in the movie theater. My dad, I don't know what he was thinking. He took me to Predator 2. I want to say like a 5-year-old. It was a dollar theater. That's one of my first movie going memories.
Wow.
Was going to see Predator 2 with my dad. And I love Predator 2 to this day because it was just like, whoa.
I literally tonight showed my kids Gremlins, and I was like,
oh, wow.
Gremlins is great. They're going to love this. I have a 7 and a 6-year-old, and as I'm watching, it's like, they say goddamn a lot. And then afterwards, I was like, Dick Miller really hates foreigners in this movie, and that is so explicit. that looks great for my kids when I work for immigration. I'm like, here, look at one of my favorite movies.
Oh, that's great. I can't wait to start showing my daughter some stuff like that. Tonight, she was watching Cinderella before bed, and she was scared of the mouse. I'm like, oh no, oh no.
It's a long wait now.
She's 2.5. She's 2.5. Like we're a couple years away from Predator 2.
So, other than Predator 2, what are some of the tentpole childhood favorites that you can't wait to show her?
Oh man. Well, since we're talking baseball, one of my favorite movies growing up, and I always tend to lean more towards comedy when it comes to baseball movies, was Major League. But there are a lot of fucks in that movie. I mean, it's rated R, and it has earned that rated R. So maybe we'll start with Major League 2, which is rated PG. So maybe Major League 2. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I obviously the Tarantino stuff, but that seems like it's a long way away. I can't. It's like, it's like I don't even know how to get there. Yeah, I think the day that I could sit down with Cora, my daughter, and put in Kill Bill, the whole bloody affair, which will be out by then in 4K, and sit back and watch that will be a dream come true.
A 4K double pack from Arrow, limited edition. Yeah, if only.
I mean, I've got the bootleg, so we can watch it now. But it looks awful.
It's not the same.
It's awful.
God, yeah, that's a good answer. You brought up De Palma, you brought up Tarantino. Other than the biggies, what are some of the underappreciated directors that John really latches onto?
Oh, I love Cronenberg. I love Lars von Trier. I mean, I don't know that I'll ever show my daughter Lars von Trier. But
you see the announcement today? Hell of a big deal.
Yeah, that's what I saw that Criterion's putting out his first 3 movies, which is great. I got the DVDs back here for 2 of them, so that'll be a nice upgrade. But what else do I love? I love the Italian westerns. I love Corbucci and I love Leone. Those would be really fun ones to show her a little earlier. A little earlier.
Let's watch Django.
yeah, sure. I'm like I said, I'm really drawn to the filmmakers, the guys that really embrace the medium and are visual filmmakers. Like I brought up Argento before. What he does is just incredible. I mean, the stories may not be great, and they could be cheesy as all be, but it's I just love looking at them. It's just so pretty. I like pretty colors.
You're a style guy. That makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
And nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of films where you walk away and go, I may not have loved that movie, but it felt good. It made me feel like I just liked watching it. It's eye candy.
Absolutely. but yeah, I think those would be the main guys that I sort of latch on to. I love Cronenberg. Cronenberg's incredible. Didn't love his most recent movie. I think you feel the same way, but
Thank you.
he's pretty special. I brought up Argento. I actually liked his most recent movie. Did you get a chance to watch it yet?
Not yet. I'm waiting on
Yeah.
a blue release. I can watch it on Shudder right now, obviously, but I'd rather have that physical in hand. And even our Discord, it's not as divisive as it's made out to be. It seems like most everybody likes it.
I feel like I'm afraid to revisit it because I saw it on the big screen in New York City. I'm in Lincoln Square with an introduction by Argento, so I was like
It's a little special.
It was a special screening, and I actually have the disc I got from Orbit, the one from overseas, and I'm a little afraid to stick it in the player, to tell you the truth, because I had such a fun time watching it that night with a packed house. Yeah. I love Paul Verhoeven. Anything he's ever done, I love. His most recent. I mean, he's 80 plus years old making Benedetta. I'm just like, whoa, this guy is an animal. But yeah, I mean, I love Scorsese. I love what's his name?
You're Italian, you have to.
Yeah, I have no choice. Who's the Greek director? Yorgos Lanthimos. Anything he's done, I love. I love the established guys, but I also love the trash that we both love. That Vinegar Syndrome and Severin put out, and I love finding new things to get into. I mean, all the Italian stuff that Severin's put out, and even the Giallo box sets. I love digging into that stuff. I don't get a lot of time to watch that stuff when I'm home, but during baseball season, when I'm kind of on an island, for those that know, I sort of commute to New York City during baseball season, but I live in Mississippi during the off season because my wife.
It's a hell of a drive.
It's a hell of a drive. So I spend a lot of time. I have a lot of downtime in New York during baseball season to watch movies and be inspired by Baz Luhrmann and throw eight boxes on the screen for baseball games for some reason. And so I really take that time to kind of dig in. And then once I come home, I'm playing dad and in bed by this time most nights, which is 9:00 p.m.
Yeah, it's rough being a dad when you want to go into a lot of this, and
you know better than anybody.
I'm trying. The next question, you brought up Vinegar Syndrome. We see mostly Vinegar Syndrome behind you. Is it safe to say they're your favorites, or is there any other labels that seem to be aligning with your taste lately?
I would say Vinegar Syndrome is a favorite. I've been a subscriber. This is actually my first year subscribing, but I've been buying for years now at this point. It'd be hard to top them. Criterion, I probably have the most Criterion. I probably have over 500 Criterion Blu-rays. But I think if you're asking me today in the year 2022 what my favorite label is, it's Vinegar Syndrome by a landslide. Just because of the discovery aspect that you bring up a lot on your channel. I love their their release day, and they've got that down. They have us eating out of the palms of their hand, by the way.
Unfortunately.
And I look at the covers and I'm like, I'm 8 years old again. And I'm like, in the movie, I'm seeing all these things for the first time, and I can't wait to flip it over to the back and read. And I just like, it brings all that back. And a lot of the stuff I haven't seen before, like it's a lot of blind spots for me. And it's such a gift to be able to discover something new when you have such a vast, library of a lifetime of watching movies. It's cool.
Yeah, when I have kids, this is basically my retirement plan, and it has to be because there's so much time into this room and into this art that very much like you, I think a lot of these filmmakers don't get the respect that they deserve, and I want to make sure that I can give that to them on a personal level because they deserve that. There's so much that they put into it. I want to take at least a portion of that out.
Totally. And I love that you call it the archive and library, because I kind of view it the same way, because I could have the next 3 years off and I would not be able to get to everything that I haven't seen in my collection. But when I'm buying something, it's an investment. It's investment in, first of all into physical media, which I love, and these labels, which I think are important, but also, you know, someday I want to own that. Who knows where that title is going to be, you know, 5 years, 10 years down the road. Who knows where it is
Exactly.
right now? First of all, other than on disc. So it's nice to have that. It's a nice feeling to lay your head down at night knowing that I have my movies. You know, they're there. They're not going anywhere. You know. If you're watching,
Oh yeah.
you know too. You know that feeling.
I mean, now that you've brought up the channel, I guess I got to ask. I don't think I asked when we met in person.
Yeah.
Where did you first hear about Disconnected, and why in the world did you join the Patreon?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I probably found you. You must have been on one of the other channels I was subscribed to, probably Aaron Pinn or Master Chaos, one of those guys. And I subscribed and I watched one video and then I watched two videos. Like, oh, this guy is bringing a scholarly, vocabulary to this trash that we love. And I was just like, oh, I was hooked in. I was totally hooked in. And I have a lot. I feel like I have a lot in common with this guy, and he's speaking. I feel like he's speaking for me. I don't have an outlet that I can do this every night, but it's nice to be able to check in with him and see what he's up to and how he's doing. And it's the Patreon has been great. It's a lot of fun to go back and forth with all those guys on there, and it's really a nice little community that you've carved out. And it's a nice feeling to be a part of something, even though it's hard to contribute as much as I'd like. It's as long as you have a Patreon and a way to chat with like-minded people, I am going to be there, because it's really I like a lot of the time it's the last thing I look at night before I go to bed. I'll go check the Discord and see what everyone's talking about. I'll comment on something that happened 14 hours ago, or log on to Rip Halloween Kills or Rock Halloween Ends. So
yeah, that's been a rough talking point for the last week, but
it's not just your channel.
Oh, I have noticed. Yeah. Did you watch it yet?
I did. I did not like it very much, but we'll I got to give it a rewatch. Like you said, the second rewatch, you enjoyed it a lot more. So
genuinely, yeah. And that's because I didn't expect a Halloween movie the second time.
That's a good point. Because it's not.
Which is an odd choice to make for the last film in a franchise. I get that.
Yeah. It's you know what? Are we talking spoilers here? We can't talk spoilers, I guess. Let's lay off the spoilers. I'll take this thought and I'm logging it. I'm gonna put it in the Discord after this. So if you want to find out what I'm thinking, join Ryan's Patreon and get on that Discord, because it's some hot stuff I got on my mind right now.
To be respectful of your time, and I know you got to sleep because kids will not allow you to sleep otherwise. One final thing that I wanted to say, and this again, not meant to be like worshiping at the ground of John or anything like that. Genuinely, the time that I spent hanging out with you this year is by far one of the highlights of my year. For those that don't know, I spent a lunch at a LA famous restaurant that was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with John and a friend of ours. And then, of course, got to meet up with him at the baseball game, but he was working, so didn't get to spend a lot of time. But just those conversations and meeting like-minded people, it goes so much further than people think it goes nowadays, especially. I feel like 2022, this is going to get very philosophical for a quick moment. I don't know what's going on, but I feel like there's this post-pandemic movement of involuntary isolation, perhaps, where people seem busier than they've ever been. And there are choices being made where we are wanting to spend time with people, but a lot of the time this generation seems to be flaking on other people and losing that personal relationship. And to have that genuine, I mean, we shook hands and then spent the next 90 minutes together, and it left permanent memories in my brain that I'm never going to forget.
I totally agree. It was like, I just love when, the planets align and you're able to meet somebody. Neither of us live in that place, but we were able to meet there and share a moment together. And I feel like honestly I felt like I knew you didn't know me, because I get to watch you every night, and so I get to be starstruck even chatting with you right now. But it was a highlight for me too. That whole LA trip was special. because I got to do a lot of things that I hadn't gotten to do since before the pandemic. I got to go to the new Bev. I got to go to the Academy Museum. I got to do games at Dodger Stadium and share what I get to do, my passion, with somebody that shares a different passion, which is cool for me. You know, this community, it's I'm guessing a lot of us don't run across a lot of people that collect movies or are as intense about movies as we are, and you don't run across them in your normal life day to day. At least I don't. So it's cool to actually meet somebody and have this, this relationship with you and the folks in the Discord. It's a pretty cool thing, and something I really I cherish. It's cool.
Same. It is something that keeps me sane. And like you said, you feel like you know me. I'm maybe a little too open on here sometimes, but the way that I have somehow in this last year, I've met like 7 of the patrons in person, which is
so
wild. Cool. The fact that I met somebody that I had just known tangentially from Oregon that came down to LA, the fact that I had a patron come from St. Louis and surprise me in a movie theater.
That. And then
how amazing is that?
And then sit in the theater for like 13 hours, right?
And enjoy it all day. Like that is incredible. You guys are just amazing.
If I had the time, there's no place I'd rather be than sitting in a movie theater for 13 straight hours. I would just love it. That is my sanctuary. I love it so much. So I'd be right there if I had the moment.
I mean, that's the first time I've ever done it, and I gotta be honest, it'll probably be difficult to do it ever again. Anyways, thank you for your time. Best of luck to the Mets in future years. And all kidding aside, the Mets are always kind of incredible and really close to the brink of going all the way.
We try to make them interesting.
Yeah,
that's our job.
But it's supposed to be interesting for the Mets, and they keep forgetting that part.
Hey, listen, there's only so much I can do. I sit in a TV truck out by the dumpsters behind Citi Field. There's only so much I can do.
The smell of New York piss. Gotta love it.
That's great. Beautiful thing. Just follow the smell of garbage, and that's where you'll find me.
And the Mets. From two collectors, all of you. Hope you had a good time. Have a good night. We'll talk to you next time.